Welcome everybody to the newest episode of Awe 3, where we break down every cool story in science, maker, tech, and whatever else happens to be taking over the world. Let's do it. Hey guys, how are you? Do you remember in chemistry class when you spent a lot of time learning about the periodic table? You probably do, but you probably don't remember anything on it, or how those elements are actually used, or how common they actually are. Fortunately for you, a Seattle-based designer by the name of Keith, we'll just go with runs the website elements.wlonk.com, and he's going to teach you exactly where all of these elements are in your daily life, so that you can be like, oh yeah, there it is. It'll be useful, I think.
And if you thought there was a healthy debate on the safety of driverless Ubers, what are people going to think about soldiers driving death tanks with VR headsets on? News Everyday reports that Microsoft has developed a new augmented reality headset allowing a holographic image to be laid on whatever the viewer is seeing, and also giving drivers of the tank a 360 view of whatever's going on without getting out of their tank. Did you know that we're killing our bees? Yeah, I didn't either, but NPR reports that several species of bee are now on the endangered species list, which is not just bad news for bees, but also for us as we depend on them for our agricultural needs. But now for some good news. You guys can nap your days away with the help of a new app called Napflix. Now, this thing aims to be the opposite of Netflix and providing very uninterested, boring videos that will lull you to sleep. God knows I need it.
We all know that it's important to have honey for our tea, right? But that's because we want to be responsible when it comes to protecting the lives of bees. And a new report out from NPR is saying that we are killing bees. But this report also is saying that the majority of those species, around 3/4 of them, are responsible not just for making honey, but also for pollinating the other goods that are used for agriculture. So, these bees are extremely important, and the cool part is that they're now placed on the endangered species list. And because they're placed on the endangered species list, we can now use federal funding to save the bees. Because we all know that that's a sweet idea. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and thank our panelists, Josh and Lauren. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or if you guys have ideas about stories that we should cover, please let us know in the comment section below. And before we get out of here, again, we want to say thank you. Don't forget to subscribe. And we're going to leave you with this little tidbit of awesomeness. See you next time.
Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Awe 3. We are breaking down the coolest news in science, technology, maker, and whatever else is awesome in the news. Let's get our geek on. So News Everyday reports that Microsoft has developed a new VR headset that would put a holographic image over whatever the soldier is seeing. Now this is a little different than the Oculus Rift because they're not in this sort of virtual reality world, but they are basically able to see a 360 view of what's going on with image overlay without ever getting out of the tank. But the good news is that you can nap away the days until you expire because there's a new nap app. From Geek.com, a new app called Napflix hopes to become the opposite answer to Netflix. All of the videos are meant to be calming and too dull to excite the viewer into staying awake. And let me just tell you from personal experience, it works.
Welcome to another episode of Awe 3, where we break down the coolest and most interesting stories in the wondrous realms of science, maker, tech, and whatever else is amazing in the news. Let's get our geek on. Hey, did you know that we're killing the bees? Like all the bees? Yeah. NPR reports that several species of bee are now on the endangered species list, which is not just tragic for bees, it is tragic for us because 3/4 of all agriculture relies on bees to pollinate flowers as part of the growing process. Agriculture is food. That's a fun fact. 3/4 of the food is wonderful. That's it for this episode. Thank you, as always, to our panelists. Do you have stories that you think we should cover? Hit us up in the comments section. And as always, please share and subscribe. Until next time, we will leave you with this splash of awesomeness. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Awe3, where we break down the most interesting and coolest stories from the realms of science, maker, tech, and any other awesomeness that's going around the internet. Stay tuned, because we're going to get our geek on. Well, if you thought there was a healthy debate about driverless Ubers, wait until you hear about soldiers driving death machines. That's right, augmented reality driverless tanks. Right now, News Every Day reports that Microsoft has created a 360-degree augmented reality headset that allows input of new visualizations overlaid over the driver's vision. This gives them a 360-degree view of the battlefield without having to get out of the tank. And what are the moral implications of a drone tank, or DANK, I guess we'll call it? If you're like me, you memorized the periodic table of elements in high school. But if you're also like me, you don't really have an idea of where these elements show up and what they're used for. That's why Seattle designer Keith Enevoldson created his own website, elements.woolonk.com, to show to users exactly where these elements show up and what they're used for. I think it's going to be great news for people who are maybe curious about why e-waste recycling is so important to use those rare earth elements in their phones, or pretty much any other reason to really get a grasp on why harvesting elements and recycling them is so important. Well, that's it for this episode. I'd like to thank our panelists, Anthony and Jade. If you guys have any stories you think we should cover, be sure to tell us in the comments, and of course, share and subscribe. Until then, we'll leave you with this little nugget of awesomeness.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Awe3, where we discuss the coolest and most interesting things in science, maker, tech, gadgets, anything that's out there, pretty much the most amazing things that are in the news. So let's get our geek on, shall we? Augmented reality tank drivers in the Ukraine, that can never be a good thing. We got endangered bees. I know it sounds bad, but it's actually a good thing. We got the periodic table of elements. It sounds boring. It's not. It's actually really cool. You know, what could it all mean? Well, that is it for our episode. I'd like to thank our panelists, Josh and Emma. You guys are the best as always. Can't wait to have you back on the show. For all of you out there, please let us know if we missed anything. If you see anything cool in science, if we landed on Mars and nobody told us, please state it in the comments and make sure you like, subscribe, share, and here it is, your splash.